welcome to Modern Homestead Alaska. I'm Jessica, and today is going to be the 30th day of the Every Bit Counts challenge, and I can't wait to share it with you. Getting started here, I have decided to get as much out of the refrigerator as possible today. It is super rainy and I wanted to do the final garden tour, although I would like to not do it in the rain. It's really bad for the soil to compact it when it's been raining. So hopefully tomorrow will be a good day for recording that, the final day of the challenge. And so I'm gonna keep digging everything out of the refrigerator, and we're gonna figure out what we can do to get all of this out of the fridge and into long-term storage. Let's start with this. The first thing, we're gonna just freeze dry, fill the freeze dryer, and then I think we're going to do a fermented hot sauce. I do listen to the comments when you guys make some recommendations of things you would like to see done or how to do certain things. Now, I have freeze dried some celery. My favorite way to do celery is just straight in the freezer or the refrigerator for long term. However, it does freeze dry pretty well. Therefore, I'm gonna put some of it in the freeze dryer, and it's easy to reconstitute it by just tossing it into soups and stews and different things. I'm going to use the stems and quite a bit of the leaves, but maybe not all of them because it becomes super, super leafy. And then we have tons of leaves and such still left to harvest in the garden. So the celery is one of the things we haven't gotten to. The kale needs to be gotten to. The, I'm trying to think what else is out there. Some of the pumpkins, those sort of things. We've passed the 20% mark for a 20% chance of having our first frost, and we have not actually had it. So that is great news. And then the weather is not looking like it's going to frost, so that is also really, really great as well. So we're gonna let things go, some things, for as long as possible. I do have one tray full in the freezer already, and I will share that one with you. It's pretty exciting. It's a wild harvested thing here in Alaska. So let me clean this up. The next item, several of you recommended just slicing and freeze drying the ginger. So I don't know that I need to peel it. I might do some peeled later, but I'm just gonna do some slices, and I think it'll be good to throw it into, well, just about teas and tinctures or all the different things. So I'm just gonna get it sliced down and fill a tray with it. And then I should still have some ginger left over after this to make another choice. Ginger, I have some ginger that has been, actually we should do that. We should do that today. I have ginger that we keep on the shelf that was just put into raw honey, and the honey preserves the ginger, and then you can pull out little chunks of it when you have a cold or a flu, or you can drop it into tea, anything like that, and you get the benefits of that raw honey as well as the ginger. Now, I've also seen garlic preserved that way as well. And then some of the things we do with ginger, we use it in a lot of our Asian cooking and different things like that. But I think slicing it like this to be able to just steep it and have like a wonderful ginger tea this winter is really beautiful. So with teas and things like that, the reason I'm not taking the time to peel all of this ginger is you're gonna strain it out anyway. So not a big deal. So what are some odd things that you guys have freeze-dried or you would like to see freeze-dried? I am so interested. This came recommended from Raven. She is an Alaskan who has been with the channel since the beginning and always been so kind and, you know, encouraging throughout all of it. And I may have had this recommended by more than just her, like, oh, we freeze dry our ginger. I think this is all that's gonna fit on this tray. Okay, in all honesty, that probably is a year's worth of freeze-dried tea. All right, let's do a little winter remedy. I'm gonna look for the fattest piece to peel because it's a lot. Okay, so taking the pieces, and I have these weird spoons that are for like grapefruits, I guess. But they're like tiny little teaspoons and they have the sharpest little edges on them. And I just peel the skin off the ginger with it. And then what I have, A-T and the and symbol and the letter S, A-T and S, Christmas berry. So I get this honey, it comes from Hawaii and California, and it ships here to Alaska from Hawaii for free. And when I buy the 5 gallons, it doesn't come in a 5-gallon bucket. It comes 5-gallon size bags. Well, then when I open the bags, I have to do something with the honey. So I had been saving the Azure 2-pound, right? I can't read it because it's been scratched. So these gallon size buckets, and so I wash them and I let them completely dry because you don't want to introduce any water or moisture into your honey. The honey itself will store indefinitely if stored properly. Honey doesn't have an expiration. However, if you introduce something like water, you can ruin your honey. So I just use super clean jars and store that. So here's our first knob peeled. Let's peel the rest of this. All right, so we have our 3 little knobs here. We just want to make sure anything that didn't get or any bad spots we move to the side. So putting like a little slice just the size that you could handle putting in your mouth. And then the more surface area we expose, the more it'll take its flavor into the honey and the more the honey can preserve the ginger. So, don't like that spot. Anything even somewhat questionable, don't put in there. Okay. All right, so there we have it. Move this aside for just a second and grab our honey. I'm gonna use a spoon. We are just going to so the honey will become a lot thinner as it ferments the ginger, or if you were using garlic as well. So I'm gonna try and push that down and around. It's gonna take a second to work that in. See, it's starting to go down. Let's try a little long teaspoon. Oh, that's so much better. Look at that. So what we don't want is there to be ginger and an air pocket, and then the honey seal that off, and that ginger and air to build bad bacteria. Pretty good. Okay, I'm not sticking the ginger spoon back into the honey. So just top it off. And I'll come and roll this. I'm gonna use a plastic lid, but I will come along and I will roll this up and down each day until it becomes real thin. But how quick and easy is that? That is a fantastic, fantastic remedy that we made in just a couple of seconds with ingredients that we just have on hand that need to be preserved and something done with them anyway. Let's continue on with the ginger. We are going to keep peeling it. I'm gonna save one nub just for fresh food here at the house, but I have an idea. I think I'm gonna just run this one through the food processor, and I'm gonna make little balls of it, and I'm going to freeze it in little balls, like flash freeze it, and then put it in a food safe bag. Put it in the freezer, and then when I make my favorite Asian soups and Indian food and those sort of things throughout the winter time, I don't have to buy ginger. I'll just have some little nubs of it. But someone also said you can just straight freeze the ginger and that it comes out just like that. But I thought maybe pre-grate it, then I can just grab that little chunk, because I do grate the fresh ginger in the winter time into those. Right, it feels so good to have one thing completely done. So we're just gonna zip it up. Puree. I have a space in my freezer where these freeze dryer trays fit. And so even though we're not freeze drying them, I'm gonna use one of the trays in order to flash freeze. Let's get that out of the way. Our one chunk left behind. So I thought 1 tablespoon. So I'm gonna just scrape it into a tablespoon, put it into a little ball. And there we go. Fresh basil goes bad so quickly, and I don't know what variety this is. It has kind of these darker tips to the leaves, and at first I thought it was bad. It's not. It really is just kind of the color of this basil. And I did pick through this and take out anything that was squishy and bad and gross. And we're gonna pop it on here to the freeze dryer, because I was having a conversation with some of you saying, have I freeze dried basil and how did it turn out? Basil up here is pretty, as far as the fresh herbs go, it's not all that expensive. And so if I don't like it, I don't like that leaf, I can do something else with it. But what I'm hoping is it'll freeze dry beautifully and I can lay the leaf on like pizzas and stuff. So there we go. All I did was rinse, wash, and salad spin this fresh basil, and it's ready to go in the freeze dryer. For our final act today, we are going to ferment some jalapenos in order to turn it into a hot sauce for Aaron. To do that, I have half a gallon of warm-ish water, and I'm gonna add 5 tablespoons of kosher salt that doesn't have any caking or anything. Like, you need to use the best salt that you can, because this is everything that goes into the ferment. That is it, salt and water. I'm gonna preheat this just slightly, only to dissolve the salt, not to bring it to a boil or simmer. While that is going and heating up, my beautiful friend Crystal last year gave me this fermentation or pickle jar. I just rinsed it out, and I have had it on the refrigerator this entire month, telling myself to do some ferments. And when we were down in Nevada, go to Trader Joe's, they have this hot sauce, and it literally is just jalapenos. It's a straight jalapeno hot sauce, and it's one of Erin's absolute favorites to put on things. So first we're gonna ferment these jalapenos, and then we are going to grind them down, making a hot sauce out of it, and it will last for months in the refrigerator. So let me start with these. I'll rinse them. All right, so all we're going to do is just get a little slice. So this is another way. It's not pickled, they're fermented jalapenos, but if Erin just likes them sliced like this, he could literally just eat this. Let me see if a funnel, perfect. A funnel is really gonna help us get that packed in there. So the jar is super cool. It has this water ring, and that allows the gases out, but keeps everything from getting in, instead of using like the weights and all of the different things. So how many jalapenos can we fit in the jar? So I would like to also pickle some jalapenos for him with the vinegar and the whole 9 yards. We also make cowboy candy for 2 reasons. I love it on lots and lots of things, even macaroni and cheese. I love cowboy candy on lots and lots of things. And we use the juice to smoke our salmon. We use the juice for jerkies and different things. So I do need, because we've run out of cowboy candy juice, I do need to do some more cowboy candy. But I thought this would be a good experiment to try to see what Erin thinks. Do you see my hair today? I don't know what it looks like right this minute. Crystal made this shampoo bar. She gave me a sample size to try, and I used it today with my homemade apple cider vinegar rinse. No product, no oils, no chemicals, no conditioner, nothing from the store, just a shampoo bar and apple cider vinegar rinse. And my hair feels light, and it doesn't feel sticky, it doesn't feel greasy. It's actually kind of amazing. And I don't use product, I don't dry it, I just don't do anything. I just let it be, comb it, and we're done. And this morning I had like this huge, where I had been injured, which is why I wear so many headbands. I have this part of the front of my head where I had lost hair, and it just makes this crazy wild hair after a day or so. My hair is so dry up here in Alaska, I can't wash it every single day. And then it made like this giant sticking up deal. You've probably seen it in older videos. Let me wash a few more. I went down pre-freezing the freeze dryer, getting it ready. You don't always have to pre-freeze everything before you put it in the freeze dryer. It does help it out. However, with the things that we're freeze drying, it'll go quick no matter what. I let the water cool down just a little bit while I was doing the dishes and such. So now we're gonna top off our jalapenos. We got as many as we could. Oh, that'll hit you in the throat, girls. right, I put a little water in the, oh, that wasn't the plan. We want to kind of push it all down. There we go. But I was trying to get some air out. I want to make sure there's not a bunch of air down in the jar. Isn't that beautiful? Let me see if I can cramp that. There we go. So what I did is I want all of the jalapenos to stay under the water. And so I took a sliver to balance between the mouth of this. That is perfect. All right. Love it. All right, so to seal this, there's this ring here. So we're just gonna put some water in it. And then our top on, and it will let air out, but that works as the seal. Isn't that so beautiful? Thank you. All right, Ferments and Freeze-dried is the name of the game today. Plus I cleaned so much out of my refrigerator and nothing is going to waste that. That is fantastic. That has been the name of the game for the Every Bit Counts Challenge. It may be store-bought, it may be homegrown, and in this case, it may be wild harvested. It's cold, and so I'll use a little towel on my hands. Do you know what this is? I'll tell you in 3, 2, 1. These are rose hips. My mom spent an afternoon foraging these beautiful rose hips. She brought them to me. I washed them, and then I ran them through the salad spinner and put them on the freeze dryer tray, pre-froze them, and they are going to go into the freeze dryer. I have in the past used rose hips. I include it in my elderberry syrup. It has so many medicinal qualities to it that I like to boil it with the elderberries and the orange and the lemon and all of the different things. And then you make a syrup, and the syrup can last a year. So it just lasts super, super long. And then I freeze whatever of the syrup that we're not using at the time, and I may take you along for that this winter. So I have always put the rose hips in there for the medicinal uses and purposes, but she brought me so many this time that I'm looking forward to seeing what other uses there are for rose hips. And I think a quick and easy way of preserving them so that we can deal with them later is through the freeze dryer. So here are some wild Alaska harvested this year. The rose hips have been, well, the roses were insane. Like the ditches everywhere we drove, so incredibly beautiful. And then it just produced these massive hip harvest up here. So these are just wild roses. We don't grow any roses for hips. We don't have anything planted intentionally out there. This is just a way that Alaska provides vitamin C throughout the year for its people. So I think it's just such a beautiful, natural, organic way of doing things. So with that, I have a lunch date with the most incredible lady in the world, my grandma. And so her and I are gonna head to town. And so I'm excited to get done what we got done. Isn't it colorful? I thought the flowers were the most beautiful, and I still think they are, but what an incredibly colorful, useful amount of things preserved that are also like a little off the beaten path. I mean, I've seen people do rose hips, but it's not all that common. And then, you know, the fermented ginger in the honey. I haven't seen that done very often on YouTube, so a little off the beaten path is all I'm saying. So thank you for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, would you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, you'll get notifications. We have so much planned for the month of September. Moving forward, we are going to be doing a lot outside of the homestead that we can't do over winter in preparation for the next season that is coming. And I hope that you will choose to join us on that journey as well, not just the harvesting and preserving. So thank you for being here today. I hope that you find something to be grateful for in your refrigerator, in your preps, and your storage. And I also hope that you are blessed, and I hope that you will be back for the next video. With that, I'll talk to you soon. Did you get the soup? Yeah? It looks delicious.
It does look delicious, doesn't it?
Yeah.